Welcome back to the Talk with AVC, buddy. Everybody, that is right. We are back on Iona College campus. Thank you all so much for tuning in and taking a listen. Huge shout out to WICR, thankfully, to finally get back on the airwaves. Feels like it's been forever, but I also want to thank all my fans who took a time to go to my YouTube page over break while I wasn't able to put out shows here and took a listen. I appreciate that very much. But down to business. New season of the Talk with AVC. What are we doing here? Okay, there we go. New season of the Talk with AVC. And actually, we're going to change it up a little bit due to recent events we are going to start in the NFL. Oh boy. So a lot has happened since the last time I was on the air here. I think the best way to describe it is chaos, I think would probably be the perfect word to use. Between Watson and Wilson, one potentially definitely gone, the other might be gone because their coach is stagnant as anything. Oh gosh, there's so much to get into between the Dak. I mean, let's try to stay recent. I mean, I know all this stuff happened that I wasn't able to react to basically just due to timing, but let's try to stay recent. NFL free agency tampering basically began yesterday. So teams are allowed to offer contracts to players. Nobody can accept them. They can't be made official for a little while longer. But you get the general idea of how free agency is starting to turn out. So, busy first day. As far as the top free agents on the market, one of the top ones is headed back to Tampa for round 2. Shaq Barrett, back on a $74 million extension. I knew he was going to get paid. I thought it would honestly be from somewhere else. I thought somebody was going to throw an infinitely larger amount of money at him. And I think had we not had a COVID year where half the teams in the league were over the cap to start the offseason or trying to save money for next offseason when the cap goes back up again, I think he would have definitely gotten paid more by someone else. I thought he was going to take the franchise tag, but you know what? Good for him. He got his money. He has to stay in Tampa where they know how to utilize him properly. Severely underrated edge rusher. Good for him. He might be looking for his second Super Bowl. Big one was for the Chiefs. Now, if you watch that Super Bowl, you know that the Chiefs' O-line left Patrick Mahomes out to die, I think is the best way to put it. So, how did they respond to this? By cutting their 2 Pro Bowl caliber tackles. No, I'm not kidding. That is what they did. Why? I'm not really sure. But they did go and sign Joe Thuney, an offensive guard, to a 5-year, $80 million contract. That's great. You're going to lose a lot of cap space. Top tier linemen from New England almost never do that well outside the hive, but good job, Chiefs. You spent a ton of money on a guard and have no quality offensive tackles. Patrick, I hope you like stepping up in the pocket because you are not going to be able to run outside much this year. Especially with Nick Bosa healthy. Just going over some other quick free agency signings. Bud Dupree to the Titans. This is the younger Jadeveon Clowney replacement. Bud Dupree was always kind of iffy in Pittsburgh. He was always a very raw, athletic guy. He started to put it together over the last couple of years. But it's interesting. I think it'd be cool to see what Mike Vrabel can do with him. I think he'll be fine there. Pittsburgh just didn't have the cap space to re-sign him. John Johnson III, probably one of the top strong safeties on the market, heads to Cleveland. This one kind of threw me for a loop. I'm not going to lie. Mostly just because I didn't see it as, I'm a big believer in not spending a huge amount of money on safeties and free agency. I don't think it's worth it, kind of like running backs. I think that it's easier to find safeties than it is like any other position in the NFL on defense. But the Browns felt like they really needed a true upgrade in that secondary. I, to be honest, think you just needed a healthy Denzel Ward, but good on you. John Johnson played well with the Rams. It'll be interesting to see how he does with a new system. But I trust Kevin Stefanski and that staff can figure something out. Now, I know this is one you all wanted me to talk about is the New York Jets. For all my Jets fans out there, I'm going to give you a bit of a round of applause on day one. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad. You did some good things. You did some good things on day one, Jets. Okay, so let's start with the wideout. You got Corey Davis. Look, I know in a wide receiver free agency class that includes Juju Smith-Schuster, Kenny Galladay. It was supposed to include Allen Robinson. It doesn't anymore. Will Fuller and all these other guys. This is a very top-heavy receiver. This is a very deep receiving class. It can feel a little bit underwhelming going for Corey Davis. However, there's something to be said for less flash, more substance. Corey Davis was a top 5 pick. Corey Davis is still an athletic freak. Corey Davis has certain statistics that rank near the top of the NFL. Yes, Corey Davis had a bit of a drop problem last year. But for a guy that probably just needed a change of scenery, I think Corey Davis is a guy who clearly just he was never going to truly fit in Tennessee with the offense that they ran. You know, I mean, A.J. Brown kind of took a lot of his shine. They're a run-centric team, so he needed to go somewhere where he could be a number one option. You put him with whatever quarterback the Jets decide to bring in, plus Brian LaFleur at offensive coordinator. I think he'll be fine. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be wide receiver 1 for the Jets unless they draft one. But good on you, Jets. That's a good pickup. The other one's Carl Lawson. I'm going to be a little bit less optimistic about this one, though I don't think it's a bad signing. I like Carl Lawson. I don't love him. I think he got paid like a second-level edge rusher. I don't think he's that. I think he can be that, but I don't think he's that right now. He's a bit injury-prone. He had a lot of help in Cincinnati when he looked good originally. When he looked good the first time, I think Atkins was still playing pretty well. Carlos Dunlap was still playing pretty well. I wouldn't have thrown all that money at Lawson, but you felt like you needed to get a younger edge rusher. And I mean, Robert Saleh is your head coach. If Robert Saleh really wanted this guy, good on you. Get Carl Lawson for Robert Saleh. Let Robert Saleh do what he wants to do. Just don't let him go full Adam Gase, all right? So the Evil Empire, New England Patriots. Oh boy. I don't think in my life I've ever seen the Patriots spend this much money this fast in free agency. This is something to behold. So they got the spending started with a 4-year, I believe it was a $50 million contract to Jonnu Smith. Now, if you haven't heard that name, it's probably not that uncommon, but he has been a very quality young tight end for the Titans. Belichick is apparently very fond of him, so is McDaniels. Vrabel was always high on him. If you notice with teams that try to emulate the Patriots like the Titans, they always seem to like each other's players. But Jonnu is a young guy with a lot of upside, and I think in the right system, he could become a true number 1 tight end, and I think that's what he's going to get the chance to do in New England. Again, a lot of this is less flash, more substance. You know, the Patriots bring in some defensive help. They bring in David Godchuk. They bring in Jalen Mills. Quality, undervalued players. One is a very good nose tackle. The other is a underrated DB because Philly kept playing him at corner when really you should never be playing Jalen Mills at corner. You should always be playing safety. That's probably the best spot for him. As far as wide receiver, again, same thing with like the Jet situation, but a bit worse. Oh, you see all these names out there and you want them. Look, New England is trying to build up a solid roster around whoever the next quarterback is. It's Cam Newton for this year probably, but it's not going to be forever. And with that being said, Cam Newton's back on a 1-year, $15 million incentivized deal. Oh, I was not a fan of this, but I understand in the sense because I don't see where else New England could really go. But at the same time, this is just me. I think Cam Newton's shot. I think he's done. His arm was so cooked last season. He could still run. My God, he could still run. But as a passer, he's cooked. Like, I just don't see anything left in Cam Newton. To be completely honest with you, I don't. for the rest of the roster, you brought in Nelson Aguilar. He had a breakout year with the Raiders. I don't think I'll ever get over his meme form as an Eagle. But if he can at all recover what made him a first-round talent, he'll be a very quality number 2 for New England. Now, you're supposed to get Julian Edelman back. I don't know what shape he'll be in when he does. But you brought in Kendrick Bourne, who is a very good slot receiver from San Fran. Again, less flash, more substance. I like the signing. But the big one for New England, for me, is Matthew Judon on a 4-year deal. Baltimore, I don't know if it was the cap crunch, but how on God's earth did you let Matthew Judon walk? And especially walk in conference. Matt Judon has been one of the most criminally underrated pass rushers in the NFL for about the last 3 years. This dude has explosive hands off the edge. He is just an absolute finesse. I can't remember the last time New England's had this level of an edge rusher on the team, and they always have and they've had a great defense, but they haven't even had a top edge rusher. Now they have a top edge rusher. So maybe back to the days when they had Chandler Jones or Prime Rob Ninkovich in a way, but I like it. I think this is kind of a huge move for New England. I think if you address wide receiver again in the draft, get like a Rashad Bateman or a Jalen Waddle, one of them's probably going to be there when you pick. I think you'll be good to go, and New England will be a force to be reckoned with again in the AFC East. The AFC East could turn into a bloodbath really fast if New England rebounds. As far, though, as the other big signings, none of them were huge. Leonard Floyd's back with the Rams. Good for him. I don't see why you'd leave. He's kind of just provided his career. It's another 1-year deal. I think he's going to take his chances next offseason if he can have a good season. Jameis is back in New Orleans. Look, did anybody really expect him to go anywhere else? As much as and as a Falcon fan, this pains me, but as much as I like Taysom Hill, no, he's not the quarterback of the future. But Jameis might be. With that being said, yes, it is official. Drew Brees has retired from New Orleans. As a Falcon fan, so long, Drew. I loved to hate you. Goodbye. Oh, okay, so as far as people, I've been getting a lot of messages about this. How the heck have the Saints, they had like $36 million over the cap to start the offseason. Let me just tell you this. They do this every year. They are ridiculously over the cap number and somehow pull off some black magic and are able to get themselves under it. They do this every year. How do they do it this time? Well, Drew Brees taking veteran minimum, losing out on quite a bit of money in retirement, cutting a bunch of veteran pieces. Oh, and signing Taysom Hill to a voidable $140 million extension. Basically, less cap it for this year. They void the deal next year, so they don't have to pay him anything. He becomes a free agent like he was scheduled to anyway, and it saves them about like $12 million in cap. I don't know, man. Whoever works the finances for the Saints needs a pay raise. I'll tell you that right now. Because he has got to be... I don't see anybody better in the NFL than the man who does the finances for the Saints. So that's basically most of the big free agency moves today, or as of yesterday. I would expect to see more today. If we're talking predictions... Oh, and Gronk's back with Tampa Bay, but who really didn't think that was going to happen. As far as other predictions... From what I've seen, Kenny Golladay looks destined to become a Giant. Trent Williams looks like he's probably going to the Colts. A lot of these are a bit iffy. This offseason more than last, it's hard because you don't really know who's going to be spending money and who's just looking to save. Still quite a few teams over the cap, including Rams, Atlanta, and a few others. Big one's Richard Sherman. I still see him going to the Jets and reuniting with Saleh. Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't know where he's going to go, but I don't want him on my team. I don't need the Corvette on my team. Oh, actually, there was one big free agency move I forgot as I will wrap up this segment here a bit. That's Yannick Ngakoue to the Raiders. Ever since they've lost Khalil Mack, we've been looking for that next edge rusher in Oakland. Or, I'm sorry, Vegas. Still not used to that. You've got a guy in Ngakoue to go along with a guy in Max Crosby who played pretty well. Vegas' big thing is their defense. Derek Carr still got some juice left. That offense has weapons. If they can just figure out a defense that ranges in the top 15, they will be a playoff team. You can absolutely bank on that. All right, everybody, that is going to do it for this football segment. And you know the drill. I will be back in about 5 minutes with our next segment, and I will see you all there. Thank you very much for watching. Again, see you in the next segment. And if you're watching this after all of them have been recorded, go watch the other segments. And hopefully see you soon.